In a small, unassuming city nestled in the heart of Tennessee, a young girl named Danita began to experience things she could not explain. She was just 9 years old when her journey into the unknown began. At first, the events seemed benign, perhaps a figment of a child's imagination. But after the passing of her beloved grandmother, everything changed. Danita's world was about to be turned upside down. It was a cold, gray afternoon when Danita felt a shiver run down her spine as she stood by the kitchen window. The clouds hung low, casting ominous shadows across the yard. Just hours before, she had visited her grandmother in the hospital. Her condition was grave, yet Danita hadn't expected this feeling of finality to wash over her. In that instant, she knew her grandmother was gone. Her mother entered the room, tears in her eyes, confirming what Danita already felt deep in her bones. Her grandmother had passed away. The funeral came and went, a blur of somber faces and whispered condolences. But it was in the days that followed that the true strangeness began. One morning, as Danita prepared for school, she neatly laid out her uniform on the bed. She turned away for just a moment, stepping into her closet to retrieve a book. When she returned, her clothes were gone. Panic seized her as she frantically searched the room. Her mother was in the kitchen, and her siblings had already left for school. It made no sense. Confusion turned to unease as Danita felt a strange sensation, like a whisper in her ear. A gentle nudge directed her back to the closet. She hesitated but then spoke aloud to the empty room. "All right, give me my clothes back." Counting slowly to 5, she felt a chill settle over the room. When she looked again, her clothes had returned, carelessly tossed onto the bed as if someone had dropped them there in a hurry. Danita's heart raced, not with fear, but with curiosity. Had her grandmother's spirit lingered, playing tricks from beyond the grave? She wanted to believe it was a sign, a playful gesture from the woman who had loved her dearly. But deep down, she knew something else was at play. A few weeks later, Danita's family moved into her late grandmother's old house. It was a quaint, charming home, though it held an air of mystery. In her new bedroom, a full-length mirror was affixed to the closet door, and Danita soon noticed a peculiar shadow etched into the glass. It appeared as a silhouette, a woman with a top bun peering over her shoulder. Yet nothing else seemed amiss in the house. No creaking floors, no flickering lights, just that unsettling figure in the mirror. As the years passed, Danita's family relocated to another state, hoping to leave the past behind. Yet the strange occurrences followed her like a shadow. Their new home was modest, a one-story dwelling with a simple layout. Danita's room was at the end of a long, narrow hallway, directly across from the bathroom. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Danita sat in the living room. The lamp cast a soft glow, sending shadows dancing across the walls. She glanced up, her breath catching in her throat as she saw it, a shadowy figure with a familiar top bun, lingering at the edge of the room. At 15, Danita was no longer a child, and she refused to dismiss these events as mere imagination. She knew this presence, whatever it was, had followed her. Yet she felt no fear, only a sense of watchful curiosity. Could it truly be her grandmother standing guard, watching over her? Desperate to understand, Danita rearranged the room, seeking logical explanations. Yet the shadow persisted, defying reason. She watched it with wary eyes, feeling its gaze upon her as she went about her days. One night, as she lay in bed, sleep teased at the edges of her consciousness. But something else lingered, an ethereal figure at the foot of her bed. It was the face of a man, translucent and ghostly, his features reminiscent of a long-forgotten portrait. She dubbed him George Washington in her mind, his presence both unsettling and inexplicably familiar. Danita squeezed her eyes shut, whispering a silent prayer, and when she dared to look again, he was gone. Her heart pounded in her chest, yet she found solace in the knowledge that she was not alone in these experiences. The eerie occurrences continued. A few weeks later, As Danita and her mother relaxed in their cozy den, they both glanced out the window toward the street. A figure emerged from the shadows, a man clad in a white shirt and jeans, his dark hair tousled. He stood at the edge of the cul-de-sac, a haunted look etched across his face. Danita's heart raced as she watched him, her instincts screaming to alert her mother. Yet when the headlights of a passing car cut through the darkness, the figure vanished as if swallowed by the night. She hesitated, waiting for him to reappear, but the street remained empty, devoid of any trace of the mysterious stranger. Years passed and Danita found herself returning to her childhood neighborhood, memories tugging at her heartstrings. As she drove past her old house, a shiver ran down her spine. The energy felt thick, oppressive, as if the spirits of the past still lingered. Determined to shake off the unease, Danita drove on, praying for protection. She knew the power of faith and sought solace in her beliefs. Yet the events of her past had left an indelible mark on her soul. As an adult, Danita continued to experience the inexplicable. Sleep paralysis plagued her on occasion, an oppressive weight pinning her to the bed, leaving her breathless and afraid. But each time, she called upon her faith, and the darkness receded. One night, during a particularly stressful finals week, she felt the familiar pressure of sleep paralysis. Yet this time, it was different. A comforting presence enveloped her, a voice calling her name, soothing her fears. It was her father's voice, gentle and reassuring. As she opened her eyes, she saw a shadowy figure slip out of the room, leaving her in peace. The experiences never truly ceased. Objects moved of their own accord, and shadows danced at the periphery of her vision. But Danita had learned to accept these occurrences, embracing them as a part of her story. She shared her tales with those who would listen, finding solace in the knowledge that she was not alone. For Danita, the line between the living and the dead had blurred long ago. She understood the world was filled with mysteries beyond comprehension. And though fear sometimes threatened to take hold, she faced each new encounter with courage and faith, knowing that she was never truly alone. And so, the haunting of Danita continues, a testament to the unseen forces that shape our lives. As she walks through the world, she carries the spirits of her past with her, forever bound to the shadows that linger just beyond the veil.